Hey, welcome back to my stamp room. I am really excited about this card because I've got a couple tricks I want to show you today, and it's using the Open Sleigh stamp set. And this is in our holiday mini catalog. It's a great set, and most of the week I've been posting some cards with it. So let's put this guy together and let me show you some tricks along the way. So I first started off just with the early espresso cardstock. That's 4 1/4 by 11. And I'm working with the, I think this is called Candlelight DSP, I cannot remember, but I'll post it on my video, and it's flocked. So it really looks nice and rich like on this early espresso cardstock, but I really wanted it to stand out a little bit more, so I'm going to put the Whisper White cardstock behind it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take my paper piercer and use some of these mini glue dots. And on some of these bigger areas where you see the pattern, I'm going to stick a glue dot. And I'm going to stick probably about 4 of them so this sucker doesn't move. Okay? And then, now here's the trick, is you're going to put it on to the Whisper White cardstock, and you want to get it as even as you possibly can. And then put it down, and voila, that's going to stick on there. Isn't that pretty? I really like that. Alright, so now you're going to use some of your adhesive, just regular snail adhesive will be fine. Put that on the back, and we're going to go ahead and mount that onto the early espresso cardstock. Just give it a little press. Now I'm using Real Red cardstock. This piece is 4 1/4 by 3 1/4 inch. I actually want to use dimensionals on this piece. I'm going to pop it up just with a couple. Couple dimensionals never hurt anybody. 3, 4, 5, 10. It's all good. I love dimensionals. We're going to put that right across that card. Now what I've done already, just to make this go by a little bit faster, is I went ahead and embossed this, pre-embossed this with the Sleigh from the Open Sleigh, and used early espresso ink and embossed it with clear. But what I want to do is I also embossed the Merry Christmas. Now I want to show you something real quick on clear stamps. You've seen my trick about putting adhesive directly onto the block, and my blocks look just horrible, but I don't really care because I can see what I'm doing. It works for me. This does not work for everybody. The other thing that I want to show you is if you don't like, an edge when you're stamping, go ahead and trim it. Obviously trim it so you can see the rubber so you're not cutting off any of your image. It doesn't really matter. I can still see the Merry Christmas, so I can see the image fine. Alright, so let's go back to, I've already stamped it, embossed it with early espresso ink and some clear. I'm going to just take any old square punch. I'm going to come in just like that, and I'm going to give it a little V on the end to make a banner. Now, with this piece, I want to do 2 things. I'm going to take my paper piercing mat. Let's move all this out of the way. Come here. And I'm going to take a vintage or an antique brad. I want this piece underneath, and I want this piece right here. Now you'll notice that this is a little bit longer because I am going to bend it over. I'm going to put this piece down, and I'm going to make a big hole. And then I'm going to take my antique brad and just put it right there in the center. I'll bring it back and pull the brads back like this. Okay, and that's not going to go anywhere. Now I'm going to trim this up a little bit because that's a little bit too long. It just needs a little cut, and that's the Victoria lace. You got to have it. It's kind of a staple for your stamp room. Flour, sugar, Victoria lace. And again, we're going to use some dimensionals. And I am matting this Real Red cardstock. And hang on, I'll give you a dimension on that. This Real Red is 3.5 by 2.5. Now, on the Whisper White, that I made a little bit smaller than I had thought I was going to. It's actually 3 5/8 by, is that right? Yeah, 3 5/8 by 2 5/8. I wanted it a little bit smaller. That white on this background when I first did it was just too bright. So I just wanted a little bit of a matte. Now here's the hard part on this one, is getting that, because your mat is so tiny, but you're going to see what I'm going to talk about here in a second. It's not overwhelming, it's just enough to give it a little bit more pop, so you can really tell that there's, you know, a line between that red and the espresso, but it's not overwhelming. I like it. Alright, so we're taking more dimensionals off, and we're going to just put this in the center. Is that what I did? That is exactly what I did. I'm going to put it right in the center. And that's it for that card. It's super simple. I hope you learned a couple tricks, and I'll see you again.